Hello and welcome to the Nursing and the Arts podcast. I'm your host, Susan J. Farese, MSN RN, SJF Communications. Here we will listen to stories from nurses that use the creative arts in their practice or in their personal lives. So just sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. Well, hello everyone. Welcome to Nursing and the Arts podcast. I'm your host, Susan Farese, MSNRN of SJF Communications. And today I am so happy to have Lourdes or Lourdes. And is it Araiza? Is that
Araiza.
Oh, I did that one right.
Yes,
Great,
you did.
Okay, and tell me the name of your company now, your photography.
Enchanting Pixels is the company name, yes.
Perfect. And see, we have this up on top here. And so Lourdes and I met a few years ago while we were doing film work together. You were doing the event photography for the film, behind the scenes photography and
right.
And some official. And I was doing the casting, the producing, signing everybody in and running around all over with my clipboard. And here we are, two nurses doing this great stuff, right?
Right.
So
absolutely.
I want to welcome you. We are here in San Diego area. You're in Chula Vista, and I'm in the Del Mar area. And I would just love to hear a little bit more about where you are from, how you got into nursing, and how did you transition to this creative life of being an awesome photographer?
Wow, this is a lifelong pursuit. I love photography since about age 11. We lived right next door to a photo studio photographer. And me being inquisitive, I, of course, wanted to know how things happened. And I learned, and they were so kind to me that they taught me everything about photography and lighting and even the developing part in the studio. So that was really amazing.
And how old were you when this was happening, and where were you?
Oh, in Sinaloa, in Mexico.
In Mexico.
Because that's where I'm from. And so that I was 11 years old.
Unbelievable. So you had that knack, you had that intuitive feeling about the image and what it captures at a young age.
I have always been the documentarian for my entire family since I can remember. I was always interested in images and what they convey. I always thought that one single image says so much and encapsulates so much. Let's say that you and I taking an image of us right now. For that image to be captured, imagine everything that had happened.
I just did it. I did a screenshot. There you go.
So imagine all the background that you had to have and all the background that I had to have for this moment to happen.
Absolutely.
So that's what I think that an image captures, and it captures the soul of the person. And when you find that moment, and you know it because you're a photographer too, you know when you capture the perfect image or when you capture what you were looking for at the moment that you click the button.
Absolutely. Yes.
And you just feel it. It's such a beautiful feeling.
It is.
I just love it. Yeah. It does.
Yeah.
Look, I'm like totally my arms.
You can get the goosebumps. I feel the same way. And my thing is nature photography mostly. I do headshots as well every once in a while. But nature photography, if I'm watching an egret or a blue heron and they're ready to take off or they're catching a fish or whatever, that's what, and I'm like, I'm really patient. You have to be very patient. You have to frame it correctly, breathe correctly, and then you snap. And then you hope when you get home and you edit that it's doable. You know, and that you don't have to edit that much because it's so perfect, you know.
My respect to you, because I try nature photography for my mental health. So I do portrait photography as a business and I love it and it's my passion. But being outside in nature, to getting up early and going to a nature area and just walking and being alone with nature and trying to do bird photography, oh my God, you do have to be patient. And it's a different experience. But since that's not my forte, my respect's off to you.
Well, I'll tell you what, we're going to have to meet and we'll go to one of the lagoons because I love the lagoons and I'll take you and we'll bring our cameras and see what we get. I
There
think
you
that would be
go.
really cool. That would be
Oh,
really
now
cool.
we have a date.
There we go. So tell us how you got into nursing and when and what
So
type.
for nursing, this has a little bit of backstory. So I was learning photography and I was 11. I did that until I was 17. Then I got into radio as a radio DJ because I had two of my siblings that were radio DJs. And of course I needed to know what it is. And I always loved the arts in any way, shape or form. And at 18, I started law. But law in Mexico and Sinaloa, it was a little tough decision for me. And after 3 semesters, so a year and a half, I talked to my dad and my mom and I said, I don't think I can do this. Let me find a different venue to help people because that was my interest, always to help people. And so I found nursing. I applied to a nursing school here in San Diego. I got accepted. And that's how I actually came to the States. I did 3 months of intensive English so that I could actually go into the nursing program. And everything is history.
And that was around, you were saying around 1986?
Yes, I did that 86 and I finished in 88.
88.
And so I've been doing nursing pretty much all of my life with a little bit of a break after I had twins.
Wow.
I had to dedicate some of my time for, raising my twins, and one of my twins has the special needs. And since I brought him to this life, I figure he needed to have all the therapies and all the opportunities and the resources. So I took a break for about 4 years to do everything that I needed to make sure that he had everything. And that I knew also I needed to go back to school and learn everything about autism and people in the spectrum. So I took 4-year break and then I went back. I did emergency medicine for most of my career, which I love.
Yeah, the fast pace, everybody's different. It's not like you have long-term relationships with the people unless they come in a lot, right? So there are some advantages of that type of nursing and very fast paced, like I said, and the images that you probably have in your heart from these patients that you've taken care of with all different things, from sick call to traumatic injuries to the worst of the worst.
Right.
So I feel for you. I've done some ER nursing as well while I was in the military, and we would either have just simple things or the worst of the worst.
Right.
So I remember those. And as far as radio, a lot of parallels here. I had a radio show in college in nursing.
Wow. I did not know that about you.
In Pennsylvania. So this was like, 1974 to 76, sometime in that period before I transferred to another school. And loved it. I'd like to do the promos and all that. So here I am today. I've gotten into acting and producing, all this other stuff. It's all creative. I love photography. We've got a lot of, very good parallels here. So I'm trying to think of what I wanted to ask you. Oh yeah. So there really wasn't a transition from nursing to photography. You've always been a photography in your spirit, in your being.
I have always been.
Yeah. And you've merged the two worlds.
Well, as life goes on and nursing took a lot of my time, and then marriage and having the kids and one child with the special needs, life takes its course. And so photography was then relegated to just taking images of family events and things like that, but I wasn't using it as a tool for me, which once I decided, or I was in a slump in mental health. I decided I need to get a very good camera again, so that I just like good cameras. I know that the camera doesn't make the photo. I know that we are the ones that make the photo, but I needed an incentive. And so I got a Canon and I went back on the streets, like basically getting up. I made a commitment to photography and to my mental health in all reality. And I got up every day for a year, shooting everything I could from 3 different angles.
When was this, though?
That was in 2010.
Okay, so
2010,
this is all before COVID and everything.
right
So,
before COVID.
and now when you did this, you went, out in the streets in Chula Vista. Is that where you were?
Pretty
Or
much anywhere,
anywhere?
anywhere. And I was very
Mhm.
much into abandoned buildings, into solitude, into hiking, anything that will take me out alone into a
Just
place where I did,
capture.
right, just to
Mm,
discover something new and being alone with my thoughts and re-encountering who I was and what I wanted and what I needed, basically regaining the person that I am. And I
very
did that through
interesting.
photography.
And you didn't have to get any permits for any places that you went. You just kind of snapped away. Because I mean, I don't know how it works professionally. There's all these, you have to get location
Uh,
yeses and nos and whatever.
So
But
you probably got an idea that I'm a little bit of an
sneaky.
extrovert, a little bit. And so back then, and very daring, I would go into a place, and if there was a sign, do not enter, in my mind, it read, welcome, we
Go.
weren't expecting you. So I did that a lot. And
Yeah.
then somebody talked to me and they said how dangerous it was. I mean, I had a couple of experiences because I love the mental health aspect of finding someone, or, like in an abandoned house. And that happened
Right.
a couple of times. And I was never scared.
Hmm.
I was
Hmm.
just more interested in capturing that moment. And I have some good street photography of unhoused people and doing drugs. Actually, just
Wow.
I I found it very interesting
Huh. And your
because everybody has a
nursing,
story.
yeah, and your nursing hat, your persona probably was captivated by it as well, seeing these things.
Very much so.
Huh.
We saw a lot of mental health issues
Hmm.
often
Uh-huh.
at the hospital. And so that was one of the reasons that I moved into mental health from the emergency room. I moved into mental health in 2018, so right before the pandemic, and
Hmm.
I started working in a locked mental health unit, which, as you can imagine, working in a locked unit in a mental health with old patients are there by a court of law, I mean, a court order, I should say. Um, and we had patients from 18 to 65 from all ranges of mental health illnesses and dangerousness. There
Wow.
were a few situations that got quite scary,
Hmm.
but I had a commitment. And so
Hmm.
I did everything that I could. I did have a mental breakdown for quite a while because there were times there was four of us in an entire floor of 108 patients and only four of us
Whoa.
during
That's
COVID.
amazing that oh my, what
Oh,
fortitude you all had.
and
That's
it's
really stressful. And where does it all go? You're giving of yourself tremendous, tremendous stories from these folks. Where does it
tremendous,
go? So it goes with
tremendous.
your photography to get that out, to release. It's cathartic, it's therapeutic, your photography.
Right. And when you make a commitment to help, and we were under those pressures of during COVID, when we didn't know much about how COVID was, uh, oh my goodness, contracted from one person to another.
Right.
And
Transmission.
so it was just amazing. I mean, I had to come home and live in the garage of my
Right.
house.
Right.
And
Right.
so it was, and then of course I got attacked a few times, and there was an attempted rape, there was an attempted suicide. I mean, it got heavy. So I have very severe I still have some, but very severe PTSD.
PTSD. Hmm.
And
Hmm.
so I took time off. I took therapy, like very intensive therapy.
I
And
would have, I would never have known that about you. You know what I mean? You're so resilient and you're
I
so positive. I mean, any interaction I've had with you is just the opposite. So you're an amazing amazing person to come through. And even though you're thinking about it now, I can tell on your face, I can tell. This is
Yes,
why we have this podcast, to
this
get
is
this out and talk about
right.
it. And all these
And
other nurses that have
right. And
so
so
many stories.
it was in so many stories, but at the same time, we are all resilient and we are
Yeah.
out there because we are trying to help people. And my commitment was that, to help people. But at one point, after I went back and the PTSD was coming back with sounds and with smells and with, I decided that it was time to leave, and I left nursing November of 2023.
Okay, so you got
And
through the pandemic.
through, all the way through, I committed. And I always tell everybody that I know in any type of business, or I also do dragon boating as a sport. And I'm like, nobody dies into the finish line.
What is it that you do?
Dragon boat is an Asian sport with a long
Oh,
boat with 20
okay.
people, and we paddle.
How did you get into that?
One of those things that happened, a friend of mine said, Luli, there is a dragon boat going on. They have a seat open and I'm going to try it. You want to go? And if you know
Wow.
me, I say yes before I say, where do we go or what is it? Do you want to? When somebody says, do you want? I'm like, yes.
I can kind of relate with certain things. Yes, I get you.
So that's how I got into that. And it's a
Wow.
beautiful group of women. They help the community as well. And then we help each
Oh,
other. And it's just something that helps physically doing
yeah,
that sport.
absolutely. Yeah, yeah. It's another art
It,
also. It's a creative art.
right.
I would love to see a photo of all of you on this boat.
Oh my gosh, I would say,
Oh my,
because obviously
send it to me.
I was the photographer for the group, of course.
Oh my
And we
gosh.
competed in Vegas and here in LA. It's just a beautiful thing to
I've
do.
never heard of this. This is amazing. So are there any blogs or, videos of you guys or anything like
Absolutely.
that?
We have an Instagram page.
Okay. Tell me
And
what it
so
is. Tell me what it is. We'll
for
write it.
uh Dragon Boat is Dragon Warriors.
Cool. Okay, and that's all together one word on Instagram. So
Right.
later on, we'll put your links and for your website and for that, anything else you want to send me. And that is amazing. So you're physically active with that. You're
Physically active with that.
mentally, you're back mentally. You're resilient. You still have that nursing in your heart. And you joined my group, Nursing in the Arts, on Facebook. I want you to
Right.
tell any nurses that you know to join our group and watch this podcast, because I think it's really going to just open up another world for nurses. Nurses are so busy and they're
Right.
captivated by their work and their process. But when they go home, what is it like with, if they have a partner or kids or, whatever, where does this all go? And so the creative arts in some way is where you can unload, just unpack and deal with it in a non-threatening way.
Right.
That for me as an artist, an author, a poet and all that, I let it go to share with other people, to help other people. I try to get our haiku workshops on my blog so that
Right.
the participants can see their work on a blog and get published. I like to give back to my nursing community, even though I'm not in a clinical mode right
Right.
now,
Right.
or
Right.
probably anymore. I don't know if I could even hang an IV and do the regulations with the drips. I'm not sure. Um, and, you know, and I have a very diversified career as well, a lot of different areas in adult nursing, med surg, ICU, and all that research. I've done nursing education, I've done admin, and yet now as like a podcaster and I guess a content leader or a nurse leader with
Mm-hmm.
thoughts about
Right.
creativity, I feel I'm giving back that way. And I'm sure you feel the same way with your photography. I looked at
I
your
agree.
website. It's amazing. In fact,
Thank
let
you.
me do a share screen really quick because I think I have you enchanting pixels. Okay, you can see it, correct?
Right.
Look at all these places that you do photography. And I've noticed it's extremely colorful and vibrant.
That
And look
is
at
my
this,
personality.
just gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous. All of these recent and pages and pages, and it's enchanting pixels. I'm going to stop the share and get back to your
Yes,
beautiful face here.
if it
Yeah.
has to do with people and events, something that brings joy, I feel so blessed to capture those moments. And for
Yeah.
headshots, now the headshots, I mean, they have always been, but now even for social media and for anything, you need an amazing headshot, not only something that you can take with your iPhone, which yes, they are great photos that can happen with an iPhone, but they don't capture the same thing
Like
as
the
a
essence,
professional, the
yeah, the
essence.
essence. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
so we do a lot of headshots, which I'm really proud of, for hospitals, for banks, for a lot of medical field, because obviously that I'm very connected with that field. But any type of headshots, I just love to do those. And weddings, I just did a wedding in Paris, and not from,
Really?
yeah, not from
Wow.
somebody that flew from here to Paris, from Parisians. They hire me,
That's awesome.
so that
That's
was
awesome. So you're
amazing.
global. And then how do you get the word out to the hospitals and other places about
Um,
yourself?
I try to open doors, obviously with my background as a nurse, and I talk to them about headshots and good images for the walls, and just I talk to whoever I need to. There's always a gatekeeper,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
so you talk to people and let them know what my work is, what I have done, and I showed the background, and I offer them a discount, of course, because it is the medical field, and we
Right.
help each other. So, and artists, a lot of artists also. I do a lot of headshots for artists, and a lot of, because I was part of a book that it had to do with painters and artists,
Okay.
and doing the photography while they were painting and having the story and capturing them during those
That's
moments.
great. I could just feel that because they're in their process and they're not thinking about a headshot for themselves necessarily, but
Right.
you're capturing them while they're doing their process, as well
Mm-hmm.
as possibly sitting for a headshot, the typical way.
The
That's
typical
really
ways.
cool that you're
Right.
into their process. And then so the joy that they feel while they're creating, you probably capture some emotions on their face or in their body as they're working and that kind of thing.
Right,
That's
and very
completely wonderful.
observant. As you know,
Yeah.
we are very observant,
Mm,
because when we have to observe patients and the circumstances and the family
yeah.
that comes with them, sometimes you just learn to be observant. And so, in a situation like that, in an environment like that, I allow them to be immersed, and then
Mm.
I'm like, ignore that I'm here, and I start just a lot of conversation to get them to be at ease. And it just, I've been blessed. I would say that I've been blessed to have this deep, meaningful connection with a lot of people.
And you know what I'm thinking? You're the artist for the artist. And you've got your psychiatric nursing, so you know your biopsychosocial needs of the person and all that reflective technique, matching them with whatever they're doing physically, possibly,
Right,
when you're
right.
there. It's just amazing. I
I
love
think that
it.
those avenues,
I
that
love
me
it.
too. And they
Love
come
it.
to me. That is the other thing. I think that energy has a lot to do with it.
And probably
Well,
intuition too, right?
right,
Your
right.
intuition, the moment, the energy. Absolutely. I can see that. I can't, let's do a photo shoot together and then we can
Let's. I'm
combine our
excited.
forces. Yeah,
Absolutely.
I like event photography, somewhat headshots. Now I love doing headshots of my daughter, who's an
Hmm.
actor,
Right, right.
because I know her. I know her essence. I know her being, I know how to make her laugh and all that stuff. But I'm nervous being a subject for a headshot.
Oh
You know
my
what I mean?
goodness.
How do you feel
Yeah.
when somebody takes
Look
one
at
of you?
that photo that is of my headshot. I'm holding an icon. I have never shot an icon in my life. I bought that one for my second photographer. I have always been a
Ah,
Canon photographer. I should get a new headshot for myself.
with your Canon. I have a Canon too. I have the what was it called? The T something I I haven't used it in a couple months, but Rebel, is it the Rebel? I think it's the
Yeah,
Rebel.
it is a Rebel. For
Yeah,
me, I'm shooting with R5.
R5. I don't know enough about the kind that you use, so you are the aficionado. I'm telling you. But
It's
boy,
a mirrorless. It's a mirrorless camera, and it's an amazing
that's
camera.
cool.
I love Canon for sure.
Yeah, we'll have to get together so I could learn a little bit from you. Tell me, what can you tell nurses that are fairly new or seasoned that might be burned out or just unsure if they should continue the path of nursing, and tell them about the value of the creative arts from your perspective?
I actually have my daughter's best friend who is studying nursing, and I already had that conversation with her since the very beginning, and that is to explore the different ways that there's nursing, and there is all types of work for nurses, not just emergency room, not just this and not just that. It's just so many aspects, and allow themselves to explore, to figure out what the perfect fit is for them. So that's one. And the other one, make sure that there's personal time and time with your family, and there's a life balance. Enjoy work, but enjoy life.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You get so caught up into it, or your circadian rhythm is messed up from doing different shifts, grueling shifts, no breaks,
Right.
bringing all this home every day. So enjoy life, capture joy in some way creatively. You don't have to be the best at what you're doing, but focus on finding an art that matches
one
your
of my
spirit.
very good nurse friends, her creative outlet is a salsa dancer, and she dances at home in front of the mirror, and it's just something that brings her a lot of joy.
I love dance too. I tap dance, not
Do
lately.
you?
And I grew up taking dance lessons. That was my thing. My mom was a dance teacher, and I took from her protege. And I love rhythm because of it. And I have a pair of drums that I bought back in when I visited Spain in high school, like in 1972 or 73. And I want to be a drummer. So
Oh my
I have so many
goodness.
parallels with you. With
Susan, I play
don't
congas.
stop.
I play congas.
No way.
And
Love it.
And I salsa dance as well. So
Me too. Yeah, I
my
love dance.
goodness.
I love any kind of dance, except for I'm not really a ballerina, but I tried. I was on point and everything. But anyway, it's been absolutely fantastic speaking with you and learning from you. Are there any other thoughts you want to bring up before we finish?
Well, I would love to help any nurses out there that need headshots, and anyone in the arts that needs headshots. I would love to help you in any way that I can. Obviously, I also do weddings and events, but just reach out and we'll have a conversation. Let's have a cup of coffee and connect. And
there you go.
Look how much in common Susan and I ended up having. And it's just beautiful to connect with people. So if anyone out there needs my services, I would love to help.
Awesome. And we will put all that in the show notes, and I'll send you when we're all set with this. I want to thank you so much. I'm going to try to pronounce the name the way you say it. Lourdes.
That's right.
I say Lourdes. Or Luli. Luli is your nickname,
Luli
right?
is my nickname.
That's adorable.
And a lot of my friends call me Luli. So if somebody calls me Luli, I'm like immediately gonna turn around and figure out they know me.
There you go. And my middle name is Joy. So we've been talking about joy and establishing joy again. So have a joyous day. Thank you so much for joining us at Nursing in the Arts podcast.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for listening to the Nursing and the Arts podcast. We loved having you here. And don't forget to sign up for our Facebook group, Nursing and the Arts, as well. And for information, you can email info@sjfcommunications.com.